Hello and welcome back to Trend Watch 777. Today we're going to be watching two videos. We're going to be talking about when the ICE agent went into this man's house. He was an elderly man, and they dragged him out in his shorts and a baby blanket thrown over him. And it was like sub-zero freezing weather outside. So the first video is them talking about it, and then the second video is we going to hear a response from the man himself.
Insurrection Act.
ICE took an elderly man into custody yesterday and led him away from his home wearing nothing but shorts, Crocs, and a baby blanket. Fox 9's Corin Hoggard talked to the man's family today and friends, and also to observers who were documenting what happened. The mayor also speaking out about this. So, Corin, live in St. Paul tonight, tell us a little bit more about what you've learned.
Yeah, Kelsey and Amy, observers were watching just about all of this going down to the house here yesterday. So they saw these ICE agents pull up. They saw them break down the door and go inside the house. And then several minutes later, they saw the agents bringing this man out of the house wearing.
They said they broke down the door. Did they even have a search warrant? I didn't hear anything about them having a search warrant.
Clothes that really weren't fit for the 7-degree morning that it was here. You mentioned it. He's wearing nothing but pajama shorts and Crocs and a baby blanket that was thrown on him kind of at the last second by one of his relatives inside the house. And, you know, then they pull him away and they put him in a vehicle and they took him away from there.
So, Corin, we've watched a lot of these detentions take place. Do we know more about his status and where he is? Are you able to kind of follow where he's been taken?
Yeah, so family members say his name is ChongLy Scott Thao, and he is a U.S. citizen who immigrated from Laos 50 plus years ago. And actually, you know, ICE drove him around for about an hour, but they did eventually let him go.
Around.
He's back in that house today as, you know.
Wait a minute. Did they just drive him around? They didn't take him anything so he can be like processed or booked, or what? They just drove him around, then dropped him back at the house? That's strange.
We've seen a lot of ICE folks come up and down this street today. They did say, again, he is a U.S. citizen. His mother, in fact, was one of the nurses who was the first to start treating Americans who were injured during the secret war in Laos. And that is actually how his family and Mayor Her's family first met up more than 50 years ago in Laos during the secret war. And their families have been friends ever since.
Corin, have you received any information from Department of Homeland Security or ICE about why they were detaining him, their version of what happened, and why all of this took place?
Yeah, first, as I mentioned, I'll say, you know, ICE agents have been going up and down this street. They've circled the neighborhood most of the afternoon. We've seen 4 or 5 vehicles that have stopped in front of this house several times. One of them said that they were going to go back into the house, but they have since left and haven't come back. As far as what they say incident, we asked them a whole lot of specific questions. They didn't answer any of those, but Homeland Security did send out a statement that said, you know, they were going in there and they detained him while they were looking for some convicted sex offenders. I want to get this right. They say the U.S. citizen lives with these 2 convicted sex offenders at the site of the operation. The individual refused to be fingerprinted or facially ID'd. He matched the description of the targets, but Mayor Her says none of that is true.
If ICE was actually, they really cared about getting the right people, they were offered the documentation from the family so that they could verify. They ignored it and grabbed the individual and took him out of that house. Like, there's no excuse, and that statement is extremely reckless, and it is dangerous to put that out there as if somehow to justify what it is that they did. There's no justification at all.
Not at all.
And so, you know, they did that at this house here yesterday. Mayor Her says she's talked to a lot of Hmong Americans over the course of this surge here in the metro, and they're telling her that they are actually more scared of what's happening here now than they were fighting communists in Laos 50 years ago.
Wow, that's really something. So shout out to Fox 9 Minneapolis St. Paul News. Okay, so now the second one over here, we're going to um, hear from the um, elderly man himself. So let's go ahead and get into this.
This is the moment 56-year-old ChongLy Thao was arrested by ICE at his home in St. Paul, Minnesota. Officers broke down his door, handcuffed him, and dragged him into the snow wearing just shorts and sandals. Thao, who goes by the name Scott, was returned home later on Sunday without explanation or apology.
Down here,
He spoke to Reuters, recounting the fear and shame he felt.
my daughter-in-law came to the room and said, "Dad, there's an ice out there." I said, "Okay, just open the door." So I locked my bedroom, and then Sunday they break in. They just came to the room and knocking the door. So I just said, "Okay, just open the door, see what they want." And then Sunday there's a gun pointed at us. I like, whoa. And then they go, "You come out here." I go, "Okay." And then I came up there, raised my hand up, and then they said put my hand on my back, so I did, and then suddenly they just handcuffed me.
Thao said he tried presenting his ID.
They didn't ask for my ID or anything until after they handcuffed me, and then they asked me, "Do I have my ID?" I go, "Yeah, it's in the room." And then my daughter-in-law, she tried to get my ID, but they didn't want to see it no more. Yeah, they just took me out there with no clothes on, and then just covered with my grandson's blanket. So yeah, they just took me out there. And I was like, man, this is embarrassing.
Thao said his parents brought him from Laos to the United States in 1974, and he became a U.S. citizen in 1991. After officers photographed him and took his fingerprints, he was returned home. In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said officers were investigating 2 convicted sex offenders at the address. Spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin said a U.S. citizen living there refused to be fingerprinted or be facially identified, and that he matched the description of an offender. She added that it's standard protocol to hold all individuals from a house involved in an operation for the safety of the public and law enforcement. Thao's son, Chris, says what happened makes him wonder if America is still a good place to be.
If this is America is what it looks like, why were we here? What are we doing here?
Wow. Okay, so yeah, so shout out, where did we get this from? Reuters? Okay, yeah. Shout out to Reuters for that. Now, that is just one strange situation. What? Okay, I'm curious. Why did they single him out? When they read at the that it's they're supposed to hold everyone in the household, but they didn't. And then one person that refused to be fingerprinted and identified by facial recognition. Why did they single out this man? And then they go and drive around the neighborhood for like over an hour just to return him from back home. And that's just scary, because it's just like, how they just went and bust in his door like that. And these days, anybody can impersonate an officer. So say if this was someone that was just impersonating them, and that gives them the right, they feel, to just bust in people's houses. And what if a lot of people just end up kidnapped and never heard from before? And it's a shame to think that way, but that's the way I be thinking, because a lot of people is just coming up missing, and then you don't know who's behind the mask, you just don't know. So, this is a real quick video, so I'm just going to end it here, and y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for subscribing to Trend Watch 777. I appreciate it. And so I will see you in the next video. Y'all be blessed. All right, I'm out, y'all.